Ever wondered how the COVID-19 mRNA vaccines work? This video will explain in under 10 minutes. To understand the COVID-19 vaccines and vaccination in general, it's helpful to review some core principles of biology. Our bodies are made of billions of cells. Inside cells, proteins are the biomolecules that are carrying out all of the different tasks that cells need to do to stay alive. A cell knows which proteins to make from its DNA. Your DNA is stored in the nucleus of the cell. When the cell needs to make a protein, it copies part of the instructions in the DNA into messenger RNA, mRNA, which is used by the cell's protein production machines to make the right proteins. mRNAs are temporary instructions. They break down after use. Think of it like a grocery list written on a piece of paper, telling you what you need at the store. It doesn't stick around long after it's been used. Okay, so that's how normal cells work. So what is a virus? It's a small particle that's missing most of the components of a living cell. Most viruses are just DNA or RNA inside a coating of proteins or fats. The viral RNA stores the instructions to make proteins, but the virus can't make them on its own. So that's why viruses need us to replicate. Viruses make their way into healthy human cells and take over. They send the instructions from their RNA or DNA to our protein production machines. And all of a sudden, our cells are making the virus's proteins, which assemble into new virus particles, which go out to infect more cells. As the viruses take over our cells, it makes us feel ill. But our immune system has ways to fight back against viruses. Once the immune system has detected a viral invader, it produces proteins called antibodies that can recognize and neutralize the virus to prevent future attack. In the case of COVID-19, the antibodies recognize the spike protein on the surface of the virus, shown in blue. So that means for most viruses, if you've gotten them once, you will have immunity going forward. If you're exposed to the virus again in the future, you won't get sick because you already have antibodies to prevent the virus from entering your cells and replicating. That's a simplified picture of how the immune system normally works. How does this relate to vaccines? Well, throughout history, people have wondered if there would be a way to boost your immune system, to give it those antibodies that recognize a virus and stop it from replicating, without having to actually get sick from the virus first. Some viruses are unpleasant, but you recover quickly, like cold viruses. But some viruses like smallpox, measles, and COVID-19 can be deadly, so it's not worth risking getting them. There is a way to train your immune system to make the right virus-fighting antibodies without getting sick first, and that's what a vaccine is. Vaccines boost your immune system, so that if you are exposed to a virus, you already have the right antibodies ready to stop the virus from replicating and prevent you from getting sick. Vaccines have been used for over 100 years. Back in the day, the vaccines were weakened versions of the actual virus. This initial form of vaccination was admittedly tricky because the weakened virus given as a vaccine had to be close enough to the actual virus so that the antibodies made by the immune system would work to prevent infection if the person was exposed to the real virus. But the weakened virus vaccine had to be different enough from the real virus so that the vaccine itself would not infect people and make them sick. That was vaccine technology 100 years ago. But today, thanks to decades of biomedical research, we have more options for making safe vaccines. So how does the COVID-19 vaccine work? The first two vaccines developed for COVID-19 from the companies Pfizer and Moderna are mRNA vaccines instead of weakened virus vaccines. This is part of the reason they were able to be developed so quickly. Instead of needing time to find the delicate balance between being close enough to the actual virus to produce the right antibodies, but weakened enough to not cause infection, mRNA vaccines are clever because they're not viruses at all. They're just mRNA with the instructions for one part of the virus. And do they work? When our cells encounter the vaccine mRNA, they follow the mRNA instructions and a protein that's a piece of the virus, the spike protein, is made. The good news is that this piece of the virus is enough for our immune system to produce antibodies to recognize the virus. But the spike protein produced by the mRNA is not nearly enough to be infectious on its own, so there's no risk of infection from the vaccine. The Pfizer and Moderna vaccines have been found to be highly effective in preventing illness from COVID-19. And if you remember, mRNA doesn't stick around long after it's been used, so it's very unlikely to have any long-term side effects. mRNA vaccines are an amazing new technology, but it's still good practice to be cautious. Vaccine candidates are tested in tens of thousands of clinical trial volunteers. The COVID-19 mRNA vaccines were found to be highly effective, with common minor side effects such as soreness and tiredness that are to be expected, as your immune system is working hard to produce antibodies after you get the vaccine. A very small number of people have had other side effects. It may be reassuring to know that the safety standards for vaccines are even higher than for other medicines. Getting a vaccine is truly like gaining a superpower. It trains your own immune system to fight viruses and protects you from getting sick. One more note about vaccines. You may hear talk of vaccination rates. Some people call this herd immunity. The idea is that there are some people in any society that cannot get a vaccine for a particular virus. This includes small babies and people with immune disorders. So how can we protect these people that are not able to get a vaccine? Well, if the vast majority of people in a population do get vaccinated, the virus will not be able to spread because it can't travel from person to person, since most people have antibodies. This protects the people that can't get vaccinated. That's why even if you are not particularly worried about getting sick from a certain virus, you can still do a societal good deed if you get vaccinated. So to sum it up, mRNA vaccines are a new type of safe and highly effective vaccine. Getting vaccinated for COVID-19 and other diseases is a way to train and boost your body's natural immune system, and it could save another person's life. Not bad. If you'd like to see more explanations of chemistry and biochemistry topics, check out the Preschool PhD YouTube channel, which has Preschool PhD science explainer videos for kids and more in-depth 10-minute PhD videos for adults.